Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news. Enzo Maresca is willing to break Club World Cup rules for the remainder of the group stage games. Joao Pedro is a priority signing for Chelsea this summer, and Mykhailo Mudryk has been banned from football, and we finally get some answers. Now, of course, I'll be giving my own thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported, but more importantly, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 10k by the end of 2025. Kicking things off, Kieran Gill has reported that Enzo Maresca is ready to defy the Club World Cup rulebook by rotating his lineup as he pleases in the United States after Chelsea won their opening group game against LAFC. I find this very interesting that FIFA are trying to make teams in their tournament play their strongest 11s. Like, surely they can only enforce so much. Enzo Maresca loves a rotation. We saw that throughout the Conference League. We had an A team and a B team, essentially. And then as the season went on, when the squad was thinned out and people going on loan, people were being injured or whatnot, Enzo Maresca still rotated throughout that entire tournament. And he did that in cup games, and he did that in Premier League games. So for Maresca, this is like a standard thing. For most clubs, this is a standard thing. We've seen this with Bayern Munich. They didn't play their full strength squad in their opening group game. There's other teams that have rotated. PSG, I'm sure, rotated as well. What I think they mean by this is Enzo Maresca is willing to swap the entire 11 and play a B team. And I think like FIFA want to try and make this competition the best competition possible and give it the best chances to get some legs for the future, to then get more people involved, generate more money, etc. And obviously for the fans going to these games, they don't want to be seeing essentially training games. They want to be seeing competitive games from both teams. So I kind of get it. But I'm on Enzo Maresca's side here because we need to rotate. These footballers have played so much football this season, and they've now got this Club World Cup competition, which is new, which is in the height of summer in a different country. It eats into the players' holidays and the pre-season training for the next season, depending on how far you go into the competition. So I'm fully on Enzo Maresca's side here. I feel like rotation should be fine. I feel like he should be able to do what he wants with his squad. We've taken I can't remember the number of players that we can take, but if there is a squad of a number available, then surely, I think it's 36 and we've taken 32, something like that. If that's the size of the squad, you should be able to use them however you please. I find it weird that FIFA are trying to force clubs to play the strongest 11 every single game for their benefit, when in reality, it's just never going to work that way. It doesn't work that way in the Premier League, doesn't work that way in any other club competition. It is what it is. Obviously, you've got like things like the Champions League. And obviously the Premier League, you do have your strongest 11, but when there's injuries or, you just need to rotate squads because the games are in such short space, etc. Now, Chelsea obviously had a very dominating win against LAFC, and I feel like, we've got Flamenco, and then we've also, I can't remember the third group game off the top of my head, but we have to get the wins, but Maresca's got to manage minutes for the squad. So I totally agree with this. I think this is a bit nonsensical from FIFA, but I would love to know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. Fabrizio Romano has reported that Chelsea has Brighton's Joao Pedro as one of their targets on their shortlist for this summer, and he's highly appreciated. Initial contacts took place to be informed on the situation. He then continues to say that Chelsea made a call for Ekitike 3 weeks ago, but Frankfurt asked for €100 million, which is too much for Chelsea. Joao Pedro is now one of their options, and Newcastle are working on the deal. Joao Pedro, we spoke about him a few weeks ago here on the channel, and Chelsea like him. He's a Swiss Army knife player. He isn't that out-and-out number 9. And when you compare him to someone like Hugo Ekitike, who they're demanding €100 million for, who did have a very good season, 22 goals, 12 assists in 48 games, good return, but not an out-and-out number 9 that Chelsea would utilise him as. He is that Swiss Army knife player. When you have the choice of Hugo Ekitike and Pedro, Joao Pedro, who has Premier League experience, had a good season at Brighton, can do very much the same things in terms of profile and what he can bring to a side that Enzo Maresca is going to utilise. And you weigh those up, and you can essentially get the same style of player for half price. It makes a lot of sense why Chelsea are going for him. Now, obviously, we are linked with Big Nick over in Stuttgart. We've been linked with loads of players this summer, but realistically, Joao Pedro, the interest has not died down. It simmered for a bit, but now it's back again. Newcastle also interested in Joao Pedro. Brighton love selling a player for profit, and they're going to be all over it, really. I think the last time we spoke about Joao Pedro, it was around £50 million was the price that's being quoted. Now, to be honest, £50 million to €100 million or £84 million, that's a £34 million saving. It just seems like a no-brainer to me. If you're going to go for one of those two players, I would rather go for someone like Joao Pedro, who's played in the Premier League, had a good season, and does the same things as Hugo Ekitike. Because again, having a player from the Bundesliga come across to the Premier League historically for Chelsea hasn't converted very well. And we know that Joao Pedro's got Premier League experience. So for me, this makes a lot of sense. Obviously, there's other targets. This is the second upload of the day, so make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you want to be staying up to date with Chelsea news. Check out the first video if you haven't already, where we talk about Morgan Rogers and Chelsea interested and going to be opportunistic if he's realistically available this summer due to Aston Villa needing to meet PSR regulations. Now, realistically, if it's Joao Pedro or Morgan Rogers, I'd love Morgan Rogers all day long. Pay the money. Simple as that. Because he's going to be utilised in that very much similar way of a Swiss Army knife player, can play left, can play right, can play central, that rotation for Cole Palmer potentially. Joao Pedro is obviously gives that extra dynamic between Delap and Jackson, who also give very different dynamics between themselves. But again, having someone like Joao Pedro is not going to be your out and out number 9. He's going to be playing a bit central on the left, on the right. That Swiss Army knife player that kind of conjoins the attack and brings something different compared to our forwards, compared to someone like Cole Palmer or our wingers, right? So for me, I back this. I think this makes a lot of sense. I feel like if you're going to be, presented with an option of £84 million or £50 million for a similar profile, you take £50 million. That's just my opinion, but I would love to know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. And moving on to Mykhailo Mudryk serving a ban, we finally have some clarity. Matt Law has reported breaking exclusive news. Mykhailo Mudryk has been charged by the Football Association for doping offences, with the player now facing a lengthy ban. He goes on to say that under FA rules, Mudryk could be banned for as long as 4 years after providing a positive A sample, believed to contain the banned performance-enhancing substance meldonium last year. And Fabrizio Romano also reported official. Mykhailo Mudryk charged with the FA for anti-doping violations and could face up to a 4-year ban. We can confirm that Mykhailo Mudryk has been charged with the anti-doping rule violations, allege the presence and/or use of a prohibited substance in terms of regulations 3 and 4 and the FA's anti-doping regulations. As this is an ongoing case, we are not in a position to comment further at this time. This is huge for so many reasons. And let's be honest, Chelsea fans, we've been expecting this news for a very long time. And in my opinion, Mykhailo Mudryk's Chelsea career is done. You might as well rip up the contract. It's just null and void at this point. Pogba did a similar thing where he had a four-year ban given to him. He did do a reduced sort of time. Mykhailo Mudryk may also do a reduced time. The length of the ban hasn't been confirmed, up to 4 years. Now, he has hired some specialist lawyer that's fought for a lot of athletes in these types of cases before. So obviously, the A sample was tested positive. This B sample just never existed apparently, or it got lost in the post or lost at sea. We have no idea what happened to it. There was talks of this back in October that they're waiting for the results of the B sample so then they could go fight this case. Now, if I'm being honest, I feel like Chelsea knew this was coming for a long, long time, and they've done as much as they can to keep it quiet, protect Mudryk. Behind the scenes, they've said many times, reports have come out that behind the scenes, Chelsea doing absolutely everything to support Mudryk during this time, and I respect that. And as a club, you have a responsibility for player welfare. It makes a lot of sense, and I kind of feel bad for Mykhailo Mudryk because I don't think he intentionally took them. That's a different case though, right? He did all these lie detector tests, things like that. Doesn't hold up in a court of law, and the FA don't care. Polygraphs don't stand in a court of law for a reason, right? But I do feel like Mudryk didn't mean to do it. I feel like he was just guided by these professionals. It was allegedly taken back when he was on international duty, different rules, etc. And he's been caught out. He's been caught out. It's as simple as that. This B sample never seemed to have existed, in my opinion. I think it was just a ruse to kind of make things quiet down, let people leave him alone for a big period of time and kind of forget about it until it came out officially that he was going to get charged. And obviously it's going to be an ongoing case to determine the length of the ban. Now, like I said, I kind of feel sorry for Mudryk. A lot of Chelsea fans are kind of already done with him, and they were like, just get rid of him. He's not good enough, get rid of him. And I hear it. It's very frustrating to watch. We spent a lot of money. Well, technically, we won't have to spend a lot of money now because I think there's like £30 million of that transfer fee was due to be paid after a certain sort of stipulation in the contract. And now with this coming up, we won't have to pay that money. So we do save some there. But the reality is he was a big money transfer. He had that debut game where he looked frightening. And then ever since then, he just looked like he wasn't a footballer. He was just very, very quick. And he had some good spells, had some good moments, don't get me wrong. The other half of the Chelsea fan base, massive Mudryk fans. And they wanted to see him kick on, really do something. And in the games that he played before his ban or before the charge, he was showing, well, signs of physical changes, right? Well, coincidence, I think not. But in terms of his performance, he was getting better. He was playing in the Conference League, boosting his confidence, scored some banging goals, to be fair. Was getting heavily involved, and I feel like he just had his head down and wanted to do the best he could for Enzo Maresca and really fight for his spot. And right now, Chelsea have a gaping hole on that left-hand side, and he would have been perfect for a long length of the season if he was eligible to play, to really prove himself. And it would have been make or break, I think, for Mudryk coming up to this transfer window. But now with this happening, obviously he can't play, so that leaves Chelsea in a very sticky situation because we can't sell him. Who are you going to sell him to? Unless it's outside of the jurisdiction of the FA and well, not the FA, but like the regulations that they go by. There may be other countries. We might sell him back to Shakhtar. I don't know. They might have completely different rules over there where he can play professional football while he sees out the ban that he's eventually given by the FA. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but potentially Chelsea are sat paying Mudryk for a long period of time and they just can't use him. They just can't use him. So I personally see no way back for Mudryk. I don't see any way where Mudryk overturns this ban, right? Whether it's up to 4 years, he's not going to do 6 months. He's not going to do a year. He will probably do 2 years plus as a minimum. And I don't think Chelsea are going to be very comfortable paying Shakhtar the rest of their instalments, knowing that the player that they've bought can't even play for up to 4 years, which is wild. That takes us over half of his contract where he just can't play. So Chelsea are going to try and offload him potentially. I don't know whether there's a clause where it violates clauses in the contract where they can just rip it up and say, right, not a problem. We've paid certain amount of the contract. That's all we're legally obliged to pay. The rest of it's null and void. He can go do what he wants. I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see how this develops. Are we keeping guys updated in terms of like the cases or any information that comes out around this? But this is all of a sudden out of nowhere where we had some closure and some clarity to know that Mykhailo Mudryk is now facing up to a 4-year ban, and the FA deem him guilty off of that A sample. And to be honest, without the B sample, he can't prove otherwise. So it is what it is. And again, I still feel like there's a bit of jeopardy around this B sample. Was it even a thing? Because how do you lose a B sample? How do you wait 7 to 8 months or 5, 6, 7 months and not hear anything back, not get the results? Unless they did very quickly and the B sample results matched the A sample results and Chelsea just kept it quiet for the sake of Mykhailo Mudryk's mental health and keeping things quiet until this can officially come out. Because otherwise it doesn't make sense. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. So I would love to know your thoughts and opinions about Mykhailo Mudryk in general. Do you think he could have gone on and been a very good Chelsea player? Would you be willing to give him more time? Do you think this season was make or break for him? Or were you one of these Chelsea fans that were done with him? You want to get rid of him anyway in this summer? And you feel like the ban has probably come at the right time. What do you also feel that Chelsea should be doing with Mykhailo Mudryk considering this new news? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. And that's all the latest Chelsea news. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported. I love having a conversation with you guys down in the comments. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one, and I mean that. You are a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.